Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules, and no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Welcome in, everybody, and welcome to the Birds of the Round Table. I am your host, Ryan. I'm sitting in the captain's chair today. We are without Shane Half, unfortunately, once again, tending to some Little League, but he will be back sooner than later. But who we do have here, we have Dives at Mr. Crockpot, who's a little bit under the weather. So we'll only go to him sparingly. Dives, you want to blink once for doing okay, 2 for no? Yeah, you tell us.
I'm hanging in there, guys. Drinking my tea. The show must continue. The show must continue.
This is going to be awesome. Oh, man. Also joining us, as always, David at PHL Eagle News. David, it looks like the Reese and Niche show is finally here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm just so grateful I don't feel like Dodge, or at least sound like him. He says he feels better than he sounds, but
yeah, I feel fine. It's just my throat is just my cold went from here to here, and now I'm just paying the price.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully, we won't go you too much today because, it's pretty brutal. But we have a lot to talk about tonight. Thank you, everybody. Ginger Honey. Hey, that's my nickname. And Garlic Dives, Ginger Honey and Garlic. Of
Did
course,
you just say that's my name?
Yeah, Ginger Honey, my nickname. Get it? Because I'm so sweet. Anyway. Dives sounds like me after the Super Bowl. Yeah, accurate. But tonight we are going to be talking about a bunch of things. Most notably, we're going to be reacting to the Tush push, whether it's going to be banned. I believe I saw, what is it? Is it this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, that it's being looked at? So we could have an answer very shortly Green Bay kind of modified their proposal. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Of course, we're going to get your reactions. But we're also going to take it back a little bit. We're going to look back to last year, Super Bowl winning season, and we're going to talk about some underrated players and who we think are the most underrated players from last year. So certainly start pumping them out in the chat as well. And then, of course, we're going to talk about this upcoming season and what games we're looking forward to. What's the biggest game this year for the Birds? We got a couple other topics, but first, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Tush Push. This has been this is like the high school drama of the NFL. It's the most ridiculous thing that we're still talking about this to this day, and it's continuously coming back. Green Bay has modified their most recent proposal to ban the Tush Push from earlier, which is being talked about right now. Dibes, you brought it up on the screen here, and it looks like the wording here is individually blocking opponents. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of look into that. I'll start with David since we don't ever want to hear from Dives again. David, what's your thought on the new proposal from the NFL? I mean, Green Bay.
It looks like it's just going back to like 2004 is pretty much what they did. I don't know how this ends. I suspect it ends with them banning it. If Goodell wants it, that's why they tabled it. They didn't have the votes back in March. He thinks he has them now. I do not think it'll have the desired outcome that the league expects it to have. Pre-pushing tushes in 2021, the Eagles had a 92.9% QB conversion rate, like on the sneak, which I don't even know why we call it a sneak anymore. It's not a sneak anymore. Everybody knows what's coming.
Nobody's surprised.
Through 2022 through 2024, they completed it at 91.3%. So I don't think a lot of things are going to change. I think the biggest thing that happened is in 2001, the Eagles hired a coach who's willing to gamble on fourth down a lot more often, and he was willing to gamble on a new play. And just as importantly, they had a new starting quarterback who could squat 600 pounds. And I don't think any of that is going to change. I heard Mailata today state that they're going to run the play the same way, whether somebody's pushing Jalen from behind or not. So I expect very little to change. If anything happens, it'll probably be more on like the third down calls where they used to play maybe for the fourth down, like trying to get an extra yard or two. But aside from that, I don't really see, anything catastrophic. I think they still have the personnel to run this better than anybody else in the league, and they'll still, complete this at a very high clip.
Yeah, you did bring up their success rate. I read a stat that during their Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl season, they ran the quarterback sneak at a 100% success rate. Crabby Oldman, sorry, I'm so used to saying it. I think this makes Green Bay game the most important game of the season. I got to tell you, if I'm in the crowd, I am going to make life hell for those cheeseheads. That's for sure. Dibes, sparingly, of course. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it feels like there's a vendetta against the Birds. I hope the Eagles aren't like under the microscope, especially when you read, prohibits an offensive player from pushing, pulling, lifting. I mean, there were a lot of plays last year where guys were pushed for extra yards and the whistle was never blown. They're taking that away. And going back, I hope the Eagles aren't under the lens here where they're only going to call this flag, this penalty, when the Eagles are playing. This, I think, has a lot of negative impact on the 2025 season and beyond. And it just feels like we don't like it and we can't stop it. So they're going to, figure out a way to throw Green Bay under the bus. I don't believe it's Green Bay whatsoever. I feel like it's the NFL top to bottom, making them the sacrificial lamb and, turning them into like the bad guy. That way the NFL, because they don't have an owner. It looks It looks so ridiculous. The pace of play, because of the Washington Commanders fiasco. It was not because of the Eagles. It was because the Washington Commanders kept racking up penalties, and to blame the Eagles on that for Washington repeatedly effing up their play is some of the most ridiculous, stupid, victim-blaming BS that I've ever seen. It is so ridiculous. So I hate it. And again, I'm not upset at the Packers. They're just the bitch boys for Goodell right now. So for me, it's really bad, and I feel like it's just really bad for the league. Anybody that's saying, the NFL is too soft and is for this needs to check themselves in the mirror. It's just not good for anybody, and it's yet further proof that the NFL is going softer and softer and softer.
Yeah, I feel like some of the major rules that have been kind of adjusted over the last couple of years, the overtime rules was because one team didn't get their chance. And, now this is one, only one team can do it. The rest of everybody can't do it. It's like it's kind of a loser mentality to change rules based upon one situation, one instance, one team, rather than figuring out and trying to better your opponent at this particular play. Like, we're acting like this is the, invention of the forward pass here, and that it's having such, a monumental shift in a game. It's one play. Yes, Dives.
Yeah, and it's 1 yard, and I'm just sick and tired of this victim mentality. Like grow a pair, stop the play, and it's just ridiculous.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. David, any rebuttal to any of the things that Dives muttered out of his choppy voice?
No, I agree with almost all of that. Again, like I said, I don't think it'll change a whole heck of a lot. The wording in that is, very difficult to officiate. It's almost impossible, and like he said, or you said, when you're modifying rules because somebody's better at something, it is kind of strange. It is a loser mentality. It does seem like that they're becoming softer, and even the coin flip, like they said, oh, it's not fair, both teams don't get the ball. Well, sports aren't fair any more than life is fair. There's tons of things that aren't fair, but that's just sports, that's just life, and there's no reason to modify everything. But we live in a culture now where the squeaky wheel gets oiled, I guess is the best way to phrase it. So it is what we're going to have to deal with moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, to put that in other words, the whiny little bitches get their way. So got it.
The 2 times this has been voted on came after Super Bowl runs with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's insane.
Now remember, they do need 24 votes to get this thing to pass. And listen, I think as much as I agree with David, I think that this is going to eventually get banned. I think because of the way that this new proposal has come up, I think there's an outside shot that this thing survives the day, if you will, because of the language, because of the the friends around the league that the Eagles and Sirianni have, that potentially we could get ourselves more than 8 votes to vote the other way, just for this year at least. Because not gonna lie, I would love another year at it, another Super Bowl run. So
did you see that one segment? I think it was Kyle Brandt talking about this and saying
he had Luvu on.
Yeah, having like the opposite effect that the NFL wants, because it's going to only fire everybody on the Philadelphia Eagles for next year to just dominate. So I agree. Like this comment from Krabby, and we'll get to this in a little bit, making the Green Bay game the most important game of the year. The amount of post touchdown celebrations this year is going to be hilarious. So thank you, Roger Goodell. Thank you.
Now, I will say, as you can see down below, Dives mentioned earlier, pace of play, player safety. Obviously, pace of play is kind of a joke, but I will say I was at a wedding a couple of weekends ago, and it was at the after party, and there were many of us that were intoxicated, and we lined up for the tush push, and I was the center. My right guard broke his pinky on my elbow during the play. So I'm just saying, anybody can get hurt.
Right. Yeah, just send it to the NFL. I'm sure they need
first documented injury from the touch. There you go. All right. Well, listen, unfortunately, we seem that we're going to have to deal with this, at least talking about it quite a bit more, regardless of when the vote becomes official, when we officially kind of hear about it. By the way, I'm digging the little comments in the right-hand corner there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Just wanted to mention that. But moving on to our next topic, we wanted to take a look back at our Super Bowl winning season and talk about some underrated players. We obviously talk about the superstars, the Jalen Hurts, the Jalen Carters, AJ Brown, Saquon, etc. But we want to talk a little bit about the underrated players. Who are the unsung heroes here for this Philadelphia Eagles team, especially for last season? David, I'll start with you again. Any thoughts on an underrated player you wanted to highlight?
I think Reed Blankenship was pretty underrated, if I'm being honest. He had 78 tackles, sacked 6 passes, defensed 4 interceptions, a fumble recovery, a forced fumble. He was really good during the 4-game stretch down the stretch there to win the Super Bowl. He's a player who, prior to the season, a lot of us discussed possibly trying to find somebody to replace him so he would be safety 3 instead of safety 2. And he proved almost everybody wrong. And now he's got his partner in crime. He's got an exciting Mike podcast. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's living his best life, and he's probably about to get a contract extension. He signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. So yeah, he's about to make a lot of money. He's going to be someone who they may have undervalued, but I don't think you're going to see that happen too much longer. I do think that he'll probably get a pretty good raise in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely, and you're right, David. We've definitely called for his. I don't know about benching, but kind of called for better safeties essentially. And it wasn't necessarily about him per se, but it was more about the overall room, I guess, of the safeties. But man, he's certainly proven people wrong. That's for sure. Dives, underrated player. What do you got?
For me, when I look back at last year, I always go to the trenches, and it's Fred Johnson. And we kind of forget how important he was to this O-line. He filled in so well. He had 5 starts, 1 at right tackle, 4 at left tackle. Remember the one game, that Bengals game where he held Hendrickson in check, countless other players like Brian Burns and things like that. And this is a team that doesn't have a solid answer yet for swing tackle. Kendall Lamb looks like he's going to be that backup swing tackle now that Tyler Steen is going to be in there. Fred Johnson, would have been nice to see him stay. Totally understand he wants, a shot to start. But you look at Kendall Lamb, he played a lot of snaps last year with the Dolphins. He gave up 0 sacks on 336 pass blocking snaps and just 12 total pressures last year before a season-ending back injury late last year. So for me, it's Fred Johnson. I'm really excited to see Kendall Lamb, but I'm going to miss Fred Johnson. I think he was an unsung hero.
Yeah, listen, it's tough when you think about this team and trying to even muster up somebody, that would fit this role. What up, Coach? You have players that I think, certainly went above and beyond expectations, and you have players that kind of filled in, the Oren Burks of the world. Certainly he would certainly qualify here, but I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to go Tristan McCullum. Again, I think kind of same principle as Oren Burks, a guy that I don't think anybody thought too much of, but when he was asked to be in there, on a kind of more consistent basis, he showed out and he did his job. And I think more or less when you look at a backup and you have a starter out and you already are down a man essentially, you don't want that person coming in to hurt you. And Tristan McCullum again, in the early stages when he first got in, it was getting his feet wet, but man, he figured it out quickly. And he was a solid piece when he was in there, and he didn't hurt them. And I think that was more important than anything of not having to answer that question when somebody was hurt. So that's always going to get my kind of respect in the unsung hero business. So for sure, Tristan McCullum.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of slack about my takes on Tristan McCullum and him being the safety over Sidney Brown right now. I still believe it as of right now.
I mean, listen, I don't think you're wrong. I still don't think, he's ready for the big lights or anything. But I certainly don't think that of Sidney Brown. But I think the best part about Sidney Brown is the potential. Right. Is can we get back to pre-injury Sidney Brown potential? Of hey, he's played a year since the injury. Sometimes it takes a full year playing on it before you really start to trust it fully and you get back to what you once were. So hopefully that's kind of the hope with Sidney Brown. But again, McCullum's there as a solid backup piece. Should he ever need to go back in again? Cabby Oldman says, I have a name I'd like to submit, but someone on the panel will think I'm just busting his chops. Oh boy. Go ahead, Krabby.
Let us hear it.
Yeah, you go ahead. And you let us know who your underrated player from the 2024-25 Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team. Try to stretch it out. Believe me, that Philly Sports Go Boom. That's exactly where my brain went. I got to tell you.
Right into that one.
Yeah. I'll give you one guess. That was the guess. It just might be. Knowing Krabby, I wouldn't doubt it. He loves himself some Kenny G. That's for sure. So there you go. Glad we could all poke some fun.
He was great. I mean, he was like Mr. Third Down. He was so good.
He did his job. Again, I'm a big fan of doing your job. So there it is, Kenny G. Well, congratulations, Kenny G. Now in Pittsburgh, who will unfortunately probably not see the light of day. Anyway, moving on to our next topic, folks. We obviously want to move forward to this upcoming season. Schedule just came out a few weeks ago. We're still kind of digesting it. Dives, I know when the schedule came out, we immediately went live, did a win-loss record. What did you end up having? I think you were like 12-5, maybe?
13-4.
13-4. Yeah, I think I was 14-3, something like that. Yeah. So, David, same thing. I know when you were doing it as well. So not bad. But looking at the schedule now, you've had a few weeks to kind of digest. You've had a little bit of time to kind of look at a few things. Right now, what is the biggest game on this schedule? Dives, I am going to go with you.
It was already spoiled. It's the Green Bay Packers game. I mean, I could get excited about the opener with Dallas or week 2 against the Chiefs. The Bills game is way too late. The Commanders games are way too late. For me, it's now officially week 10 for the Eagles to put a heart in. We know how emotional Nick Sirianni is as a head coach, and these players love it. These players will, go to hell for him, and we've seen it over and over and over again. He's going to want to make a statement against the Green Bay Packers. I believe it's their only Monday Night Football game. I could be wrong, but man, the NFL is going to want to consider changing that, because I feel like the Eagles are going to make a statement against not just the Packers, but the NFL, and it's going to be just pure popcorn bliss. Give me week 10 Packers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great game. November 10th in Green Bay, Monday night. I was hoping that game would be a little bit earlier just for weather considerations. I still may end up going. Obviously Lambeau has certainly been a dream of mine to get out there. But David, what about you? What is your thoughts? Biggest game for the Birds?
I think, the focus for most Eagles fans has been the ban on the Tush push, but another vote that they're having tomorrow is one that would change for the seeding of the playoffs. Yeah. If you win your division, you'll still, make the playoffs, but if, another team has a better record than you, then they would host the game as opposed to you. So with that in mind, I think some of the biggest games are who you think are going to be your competition at the end of the season. I think Dives named one of them with the Packers, and staying with the NFC North, I think the Lions is the other one. I think they're a team that can compete, record-wise with the Philadelphia Eagles. They obviously did a lot of trash talking during the offseason, believing that they were the better football team. They could have beat them. I do not share in their sentiment, but I am looking forward to that game, and I think it's going to be a very important one, more so maybe than these late division games that might not matter as much anymore, because you're going to have to win those games against the Lions to break tiebreakers for a potential home game. Whereas before, if you won your division, it didn't matter so much, as you just had to focus on your division. So for me, it's any game like that, and the Packers and the Lions are probably two of the more ones that stand out the most to me.
Yeah, no, that's I was absolutely going to say the Lions for me. I think that the two of those matchups back to back, the Lions, now you're on a short week, although you are coming back home, which is great. And I'm pretty sure I predicted that the Eagles wouldn't lose at home as long as I was there. Yeah, I think that's going to be an absolutely amazing game against 2 weeks in a row against two top NFC matchups that could come back and seeding involved. So Dibes.
Yeah, I was just circling back to my answer that I forgot to say. The Eagles have a ton of games, like revenge games for opponents on their schedule. The Packers game is their revenge game, I feel like, because I do expect it to get banned. That is the Eagles' revenge game.
Yeah. Coach checks in, says at Tampa. Yeah, listen, they've had our number recently, that's for sure. Bowles seems to know how to neutralize Jalen Hurts right now. But we'll see. Obviously, that was the turning point of the season last year. At Tampa, we come back home, we had the bye, and the rest is history. So, we got a lot of tough games. It's I'm honestly glad that some of them are a little too early and some of them are a little too late, because those ones in the middle of the schedule, those are the ones where it's there's not a lot of breaks coming. It's tough. You're not sure where you are, in the standings, and every game, every inch matters. So those are going to be the fun games in the middle of the season for sure. So let us know what you guys think. Krabby says tough games, statement games. Yeah, that is for darn sure. They're all going to be pretty tough. So the schedule is brutal. Not having back-to-back home games. Against too many playoff teams, honestly, from last year. So, All right, but yeah, let us know what you guys think is the toughest game or the biggest game, I should say, on the schedule. We'll read them out as you chat them out to us. But we're going to stay in 2025, and we're going to talk about some training camp because, that's the next logical thing that's going to be happening here soon enough. And, while, this team is coming together, still plenty of time to adjust the roster and whatnot. But, what we want to know is what is the biggest question mark heading into the 2025 training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles? This is there's going to be some good battles here. There's some positions that, are going to look a little different than last year. Certainly going to look a lot different than training camp last year. That's for darn sure. But David, I'll start with you first. What's your take on this? What's the biggest concern?
I think a lot of people will go with right guard, but I implicitly trust Jeff Stoutland, whoever he chooses to play that position. I don't really have much concern. I think his track record speaks for itself. So I'm going with cornerback 2 to play opposite Quinyon Mitchell. I think that is the biggest hole on the team at the moment. I don't know that whoever is CB2 is currently on the roster. I mean, I'd like to think that Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson are going to, take over that spot. And they might have a hell of a good camp battle, and it might be, something that turns into a strength like last year for the Eagles. But Slay, for all the static he heard and took from the fans, played very, very well last year. And he was a solid person in that secondary for the past 5-6 seasons. And it's a big loss. And I think that they're going to have to compensate that with some coverage scheme differences and things of that nature to, be able to play Ringo or Adoree. So to me, I would still be looking for a cornerback out there. I don't know that there is one. I know that's one of the questions later, but could be a trade, in mind if they don't like what they see in training camp. But for me, that's the biggest question mark heading into the camp.
Okay, CB2, Dives.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. The NBA playoffs are here, and Michelob Ultra is getting you closer to the game than ever with courtside seats and more. Enter now at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access Courtside 2024 to 2025 sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Ends on July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/superior access/courtside for free entry deadlines and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals, like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the secondary. I have two, but the one I want to start with is Andrew Makuba. Because the last time they drafted a round 2 defensive back, it turned out pretty good for them. And for me, I want to know how quickly Makuba can jump into a starting role. He did it at Clemson. He was an immediate starter. Is he a platoon guy as a dime defender? I think he's a perfect fit next to Reed Blankenship. He's an excellent cover safety. He's versatile, has played a ton of snaps in different alignments at two different big-time colleges. It's important to note that his greatest success last year at Texas came as playing a free safety. He played 71+% of his snaps at free safety in 2024. I think he should thrive in the nickel. The Eagles played 80% of their snaps on defense in nickel last year. That was up from 73% in 2023 and more than any season since 2014, according to True Media. The Eagles and the Bills run a ton of nickel, as we know, and I'm really intrigued at his fit in this defense, not just the versatility, but his ability in coverage. He's not just a guy that can thrive in deep. He can play up close. He held opposing quarterbacks to a 30.7 passer rating allowed on short routes, 0 to 9 yards in 2024. And there's so many other stats that I could go off on, but I'm just not sold on Sidney Brown as a starter. I like him on special teams, and I know Makuba's a super smart kid. I hope he can pick up the playbook quickly because this is a defense that relies on their defensive backs to play in unison and to, play without thinking and play naturally and freely together. And I'm really excited to see how Makuba immediately gels with this secondary come training camp.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Certainly some question marks there in the secondary, or at least some questions that need to be answered for sure. I know David mentioned right guard. And yeah, you're not wrong in the fact that we should trust Outland. He has made the right calls and has groomed some of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, not just in Eagles history. But I'm going to go with linebacker outside of Zach Bond. Again, it's as much as, don't get me wrong, Jahad Campbell is my savior here, thinking that would never happen, drafting a linebacker. But yeah, I mean, his injury, again, I have not heard solid word whether or not he's going to be officially ready to go. And again, something like that always kind of, especially for a rookie, we saw it in Coop. He got a little bit of an injury. He missed some time, and that really set him back a few weeks. And it took him a little bit to break in once he was healthy, and once he did, obviously that was the end of it. But so I'm a little worried about if that is the case. What's the backup plan right now? So potentially, is there somebody out there in the market? I don't know. Is there somebody in the trade market, perhaps? I mean, Howie is always wheeling and dealing and calling people, and I'm sure most people have him blocked by now, but every once in a while he gets a phone call through, doesn't he?
If I could piggyback on that, don't forget about Nakobe Dean. He's looked really good. I've seen him twice since the offseason, and he walks with no limp. He has no brace. That's not playing on a football field. I understand that, but sure. he looks really, really good. Like, for the injury that he took, having your kneecap thrusted up into your thigh, that's pretty remarkable. I don't know how many of us would be walking around the way he is a few months later, but I still have high hopes for him being able to contribute at some point this season.
Yeah, I really hope so. Really hope so. I'm sorry.
0 to 10, what's your confidence level? Like 10 being super confident, 0 being no confidence on Kevin Patullo, new offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he's never done this before. He's got a lot of experience with Hurts. Where are you at?
David, I'll let you go first.
Normally, I would be very skeptical of this, but he has been with Nick for 8 years. So they work in conjunction very well together. He's been in Philly this whole time. Like you said, he's worked with Hurts. This isn't like what they tried before where they brought in somebody who was from the outside. They have the continuity with Patullo. The players seem to really like him. Mailata today said that he's the kind of guy that you just go up to and tell him you want to try this. He institutes it into the offensive game plan. So I would go about an 8. I'm pretty confident. Some of these guys, just like last year with Kellen Moore, I think that we all kind of felt pretty confident with him coming in. He had a much stronger track record of doing this in the past, but I have that same kind of confidence with Patullo just because of his continuity with the offense, working with Nick and Jalen. So I feel pretty good about it. I'd be surprised if it's anything like what happened with Brian 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm probably at a 7, I would say. A little skeptical, just again, anytime that you add another piece into a major cog into the machine, you never know. But and the fact that I will say the one thing that does give me confidence is the fact that this is Jalen's used to this. I mean, when has he not had a offensive coordinator been new?
10 years in a row, I think it is.
I think it is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and the good news is, like, he's seen the peaks and valleys of this offense. He's seen it when it's thriving, and he's seen it, that collapse when they went 1-6 2 years ago. So he's definitely knows. At least I hope he saw those last 2 games against the Commanders and the Chiefs, and hopefully that is a sign of what we can expect in 2025 with, the handoffs to Dallas Goedert and those little nuances that I think are fantastic with BVS under center. Right, Ryan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that.
Ty Robinson this year, too, maybe at fullback. So
yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Maybe a little Harrison Bryant in those situations, too.
Jesus
God. He's done it.
Yeah. I know. You and your love affair of the fullback.
I do.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Next topic. There is still certainly some time before training camp. OTAs are beginning next week. And we want to talk about right now, looking at the roster, the way it is, is there someone the Eagles could add realistically? Now, we're certainly not, talking about fantasy here, but some realistic free agent that you could see the Eagles going after. What position would it be? And if you have a specific guy, feel free to throw it out there. Dibs, I'll start with you, since I'm sure you're just going to start naming, fullbacks or backup assistant coaches or something. So.
This question's always pretty easy for me because I always just go to one answer, but I'm going to flip the script. How about Kaiser White? Kaiser White knows the system. He was pretty solid when he was here. Again, if there was one move that still pisses me off, it was not bringing back Oren Burks. I would be so confident in this front seven if Burks was back, because when he was given a week to prepare for a starting role in this defense, he was outstanding. And I'm just not sold on Munden. I think he's more of a developmental guy, and I think he's a great fit. But for me, I think Kaiser White would be a fun addition to that rotation.
Okay, I can get behind linebacker, even one that the retread. David, what about you?
I love that answer because Kaiser can do a lot of the things Dean did. He's fast, he did play well here. I don't think there's many free agents that would change the dial that much. I'm sure a lot of fans would want safety Justin Simmons. Sure. I'm sure that's a popular answer, especially when you have question marks, with Sidney Brown's health and Mukuba being a rookie, and this is a team that's, in the window to win a Super Bowl right now. It's hard to put the reliance on a rookie like that. Of course, they did that last season with 2, and it worked out just fine. But the other two positions I would look at is maybe cornerback, like I mentioned at the top of the show. I don't know who's out there, but Kendall Fuller. I don't know if he's any better than Adoree Jackson, but he is out there. And the position that I'm still a little concerned, just with the amount of snaps, is defensive tackle. And there's one guy out there who probably wouldn't cost a lot. He's 27 years old, Raekwon Davis. He played with Miami for many years. Last year he was with the Colts, but he eats up about 400 to 500 snaps, per season. Last year, the year before, I'm sorry, he had 6 quarterback hits. He doesn't get tons of interior pressure, but he gets 1 sack or so a year. But he does bring a lot of, interior pressure with the hits. He just doesn't finish them off with sacks. But they're going to need somebody to take snaps. I know Fangio likes to play his starters to death, as evidenced by how many snaps Jalen Carter did. But at some point, you're going to need, more rotational guys. And I don't think they have a ton of depth at that position right now, especially if you look at who they have on the roster with Booker, who could maybe take a bigger, role, and Gabe Hall and Bryant Young, who's currently on the IR, I believe. But yeah, to me, something cheap, reasonable would be defensive tackle, Raekwon Davis, or cornerback Kendall Fuller, maybe, if you like him.
Yeah, I like that. Don't forget Rasul Douglas, still very much available. If we're talking about retreads. Those are certainly great. Obviously, you certainly want to mention safety, and I know obviously that everybody and their mother are going to want Justin Simmons, but there's a couple other really talented safeties out there. Honestly, Marcus Williams might be a little bit on the more expensive side than somebody like a Julian Blackman. Two guys that I certainly do enjoy. And then another position I would say would be tight end. I know we just signed 7,200 of them. But Gerald Everett, somebody that's still available, and I wouldn't mind giving a shot to. I'd
still trade for Mike Mayer. I mean,
I would
you
too.
have Goddard for a year, just do it.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Yeah, because what's the worst thing that happens? You probably trade a late pick for him. If he works out, awesome. Re-sign him and you roll with it. If he doesn't,
2 years cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
Love it.
No, I agreed. So, what say you out there? Is there a specific position? Is there maybe a specific player that you want the Eagles to kind of sign? Prior to training camp, maybe in the middle of training camp. Certainly the Eagles roster is not complete. So still certainly plenty of positions to figure out. So, all right, let's move on to the final topic of the evening. And that is, we're talking developmental. We got a few developmental guys on the offensive line. Obviously, we love Jeff Stoutland. In Stoutland, we trust, as is often said on this channel. So there's a couple of guys. Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams, Holland Pierce. Out of those three, which of those do you think could be the next, guy for Jeff Stoutland that, we're going to talk about in a couple of years down the road, saying, man, what an amazing job that Stoutland did yet again. And look at this guy absolutely balling. Who's that for you, Dives?
Sorry, David. I'm taking Holland Pierce on this one. He's 6'8", 341 pounds, elite length, wingspan, has all the similar tools of Mekhi Becton here. And I don't think he just, is a answer at right tackle. I think he can be an answer at right guard as well. He's agile. I had a late day 2, early day 3 grade on him, and he fell all the way to the birds as an undrafted free agent. So he's easily going to be one of my favorite guys to watch during training camp.
Yeah, he's again. I love. I honestly, I love anytime we get to watch just a massive human being, play offensive line. It's always a good time. So, David, are you agreeing? Are you going to say one of the other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would have picked Holland Pierce. I watched him all year last year. He's a walk-on who started 50 games at Rutgers, which is just an incredible, or becoming for him. I think he could do the same thing in Philadelphia. Like Dive said, he's athletic, he's agile, he's large. He held his own against top-tier competition at the Shrine Bowl. But I'll pivot to another mountain of a man who a lot of people thought could be like a second or third round pick, and that's Cameron Williams, the offensive tackle from Texas. He has devastating power, a really good, initial first punch, vice grip hands, as all the scouts like to say. He shows flashes in the run game. He has good movement. He has very impressive mobility for somebody of his size. He demonstrated, a real mean streak on the field. He's a finisher, a mauler, something that you like to see. I think he's coachable. I think he might be hungry, much like Holland Pierce, who went undrafted. Williams went, way later than he thought. I think it probably was an insult. He's very young for the position. I think he's only 21 years old. So he is somebody who, with time, he could learn, the technicalities of the position, be refined. And he's not done developing physically either. So this could be a mountain of a man that you look back. All three of them, really. Miles Hinton everything I just said about Cameron, you could almost say about Miles, including Miles has bloodlines and family members in the league. I mean, for a team that didn't take any high picks, I think they really nailed the position with these three offensive linemen. And like Dive said, they are versatile. They could be, I don't know about Cameron as much, but the other two especially could be guards if they wanted to work them as such.
Yeah, I think Williams certainly has some guard potential. But yeah, you said it. He's a massive human being. It's just raw. Honestly, he's still kind of learning how to play the position, but also kind of play within his own physical body. Basically, it almost just seems like he grew too fast and is trying to catch up. But I think the fact of the matter is that all three of these guys, I think there's each one of them has their own kind of potential that, again, you're if it's going to work, we have the coach, we have the team, we have the surrounding players to do it. So if it's not going to work, here, it's not going to work anywhere. So I have a feeling that, potentially two of these guys could be, significant pieces down the road, for the Birds. So,
yeah. And don't forget about their exemption with New Zealand / Australian offensive lineman Laken Vakalahi.
Yeah,
that guy is a massive man as well. I mean, he's almost as big as Mailata. Mailata, in fact, was asked about him today. He doesn't want to comment very much. He doesn't want to put that type of pressure on the guy.
Yeah.
But they have cultivated such a winning culture there where players like Lane and Mailata don't feel threatened to teach everything they know to, the youngsters that are in the room with them, which is a unspoken part of the success of the Philadelphia Eagles. It has been their unselfishness. And you saw it years ago, the beginning, the genesis of that with Jason Peters teaching and it is just passed down. Trent Cole teaching, Brandon Graham or whatever, you always hear those stories. They don't have, where a lot of other franchises, somebody gets drafted like Brett Favre, what he did with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
You don't hear those kind of stories in Philadelphia because they've cultivated a winning culture where nobody's threatened and everybody's trying to make everybody as successful as they can be. And that's gone a long way. And that's why they've been in 20 playoff games since, the year 2000. It's, been an insane run. So whatever they're doing is working to keep it up.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, when you saying that, I don't know why it just kind of clicked in me is when they drafted Jalen, there was the idea that, obviously Wentz was, kind of a bad teammate or so to speak, but it wasn't necessarily that. I think it was more or less of just he was caught off guard, just like the rest of us. So I agree that we've had a long line, a long history of vets helping rooks and getting better every day, 1% every day, and it's across the board. So
Stoutland gets all the credit, but the players deserve a little bit as well, because they, you wouldn't have that success if they weren't willing to teach and give their time to all of the youngsters the way they have over the years.
Yeah, no doubt. That is absolutely for sure. Krabby, with the culture on this team, winning is the icing on the cake, because I'd watch them win or lose.
Agreed, because
right.
they're fun to root for. They're
Yeah.
easy to root for. It's the culture that they've built. It's successful. It's something you want to watch. It's the anti-Sixers. It's something that's it's been done the right way. Whether it always works or it doesn't, it isn't. The final product isn't necessarily. It's you're defined by your habits in life, what you do every day, what you get up and do, and that's what this team is defined by. And it's been successful, whether they've walked away with that trophy at the end of the year or not.
Yeah, agreed. Very well said. And Krabby has certainly seen some winning and some losing. That's for sure.
There have been bad cultures over the years, to say the least.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it too. So, all right, folks. Well, listen, that is gonna wrap it up for us tonight. Unfortunately, like I said, Shane wasn't able to join us tonight. Do we have confirmation? Is it next week or the week after that? Do we know when is Shane ever coming back? I hope Shane's coming back, right? And you're muted.
Yeah, I'm not sure about next week, but definitely the following week.
Yeah, he's coming back soon. So hopefully, Dibes, your voice is better. Otherwise, maybe we'll give David his second time in the driver's seat and see if we can't crush another episode like he did the first time.
I got Chat PL Eagle News ready to AI, man, ready to go.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, folks. That's it. Dibes, before we get on out of here, anything to plug? Any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to say? Time's yours.
I'll do it. I've been saving this one. But if anybody that's watched me on this channel or Party on Broad channel knows that I have a partner in crime that's been doing these shows with me from the jump. My dog crossed the Rainbow Bridge a week and a half ago, and right there is her ashes. She'll be watching us as we kick ass in 2025. Yeah, if you ever watch the post games or the watch parties, you would see Kona either sitting here or barking my face off. But we miss her, and go Birds.
Well said. Yeah, we're definitely going to miss her bothering you while you're trying to make an important point there. David, anything to add?
Not after that. No.
Right.
I agree with everything Dive said. Somehow, like the Holy Ghost took over his body. He spoke well and clear first time for the whole show. I don't know. That was perfect. Yeah, we never have enough time with our pets. They become such big members of the family. It's very hard. I actually have a dog that was just diagnosed with cancer myself. She's 16 years old. It's terrible. She's appeared in a couple ones when she jumps up on my lap. But yeah, it's very difficult. It's very hard. People who don't have pets probably don't understand, how the connection. But it is a painful loss. They're definitely a member of the family, and I feel for you there, buddy. So I'm glad she's still making an appearance on the show there, though. So that is cool.
God's greatest gift, man. And yeah, it happened so fast. She didn't suffer, but it doesn't make it easier. So it
sure doesn't. No, sorry to hear that, Dive. Sorry to hear that, David, as well. Yeah, it's never easy. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's the worst.
So this one's dedicated to all of our animal friends out there, with us and without us. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. I have been your host, Ryan, and I don't really have anything to add other than just keep liking, following, sharing the channel. Make sure you tell your friends about it. Make sure you tell your enemies about it. Honestly, I don't care who you tell about it. Just keep spreading the word. So absolutely love you guys in the chat. Thank you all. You guys make the shows what it is every single time. And now we have this fun little whatever the heck thing in the bottom right hand corner. I like it. You can see it without it. You don't always have to bring it up.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about at all.
It's a crumb thing now.
I just see a big S in my corner, but whatever.
Oh my God.
It's so fun.
That makes a lot of sense right now. All right, folks, we will see you guys next week on Birds of the Round Table always Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Make sure you check out all the other shows on the channel, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, etc. We'll see you guys next week.